Okay, here it is. We're going to give you a sneak peek world premiere of the brand new Soul Wringer audiobook. Viv is somebody who, through this book, ends up getting powers. They give her the ability to, when she touches something, and it once belonged to someone who is now dead, she can now hear that person in her head, and even more, she can become them. So I'm going to load this up. It's the world premiere of the Soul Wringer audiobook, performed by the amazing narrator Laurie Catherine Winkel. Here we go.
I refused to die in a Cinnabon. Of course, what I decided should happen and what life dished out instead were rarely close. They weren't even in the same zip code. You'd need to take 3 buses, an Uber, and a rent-a-scooter to get from one to the other. And while I hated those scooters lying all over the sidewalks like despondent cats, I would have traded all the cash in my savings for one at that moment, although I didn't know if you could actually buy one for $37. It smells real nice in here, but you should probably run. I reckon they'll find you in here. Darkness had fallen upon the mall hours earlier, but I still felt exposed. As I tried to crouch lower behind the Cinnabon counter, my wet shoes cried out like panicked mice. Acid fizzled up my throat, and the taste of it curled my tongue. Sometimes a little pain can sharpen the mind, so as I stared through the finger-smudged glass into the shadows of the food court, I ground my knuckle into my thigh. However, my desire for focus was now eclipsed by worries I might be leaving a bruise. Manic laughter escaped my lips, and I slapped a damp hand over my mouth. How was I worried about a bruise after I'd likely cracked my skull and spine when falling from the upper floor into the mall's fountain? In the pitch black, there was the clickety-clank of metal banging off thick glass. Holding my breath, I squinted and spotted the hazy outlines of my 2 pursuers. "She couldn't have gone in here," one whisperer said, and rattled the Foot Locker security gate again. I couldn't tell if it was the guy or the girl. "Unless she slipped under the gate." A soft chuckle. "Nah, she'd never fit." My blinding fear got elbowed aside by my indignation and rage. Yes, both together. For me, they came in a matching set. And sure, I should have been more focused on getting the hell away from the 2 people chasing me, but one of those assholes called me fat. "No, they didn't. You're taking a flippant comment personally. Unless you are a bit chubby, I can't tell." As my heart banged against my ribs, I peered through the Cinnabon display case, trying to spot some safe place, any place I could run to. It was hard to see in the after-hours security lighting, but across from me appeared to be some high-dollar lingerie store. Had it been closer to October, I might have guessed it a Halloween shop. I'd never have thought there'd be some Venn diagram regarding the inventory of those 2 outlets, but all those zippers and leather and spikes? Either I'd gotten far more prudish after turning 30, or Dallas had an underground alternative lifestyle scene that involved biannual penicillin shots. A crashing sound kicked my stomach up into my throat, and a groan escaped my lips. Thankfully, the noise of the trash can lid bouncing on the cold marble floor drowned that out. "Will you watch where you're going?" Whisperer 1 said, far less whispery than a moment earlier. "It's too dark." "Who's down there?" another voice said. Not whispering, but shouting, which honestly was a refreshing change. "The mall is closed. Y'all need to get before I find you." "Now would be an excellent time for you to run. Sounds like the police have arrived." To my right, a light skipped across the storefronts where 2 corridors converged. The beam danced left and right, but I couldn't tell if the mall's guard was angrily walking while gripping the flashlight, or just waving it back and forth, hoping the intruders would run off. Would Mall Cop be armed like an off-duty police officer? Or would this be one of those guys whose uniform had a screen-printed badge, a crooked name tag that said Frank, and stains from last week's chili down the middle? Hopefully Frank had more than a flashlight, because the Whisper twins had tasers. 5 minutes earlier, I'd come within an inch of getting one of them jabbed into my neck. The only thing that had saved my bacon had been falling over the 2nd-story railing and splash landing in the fountain. That had been incredible luck. "Look," the female whisperer said, and I could see her stalking closer to my hiding spot. "There's a trail of water that goes right up to the donut place." Damn it! I had to get out of there, but I'd already checked the Cinnabon's back door. Locked. The only escape would be jumping over the display case, shimmying back under the store's security gate, and running like hell for the exits.